Okay, so welcome to today's discussion. So I'm talking today with Gavin Neate, and he's created a service that I think is totally amazing. I think it's going to have a huge impact on accessibility. And I know Gavin's thinking about doing this globally. He's a man with big dreams. His company is called Neatebox. So Gavin, you want to give us a little bit of your background, and then let's start talking about Neatebox.
Yeah,
and
sure.
The customer side of it.
Fantastic, Kenneth, and thanks very much for inviting me onto the show. So a little bit of background, I was a guide dog trainer or a seeing eye dog trainer, and I loved it. It was the best job in the world. I did it for 18 years. But back in 2006, people were turning up to train with their guide dogs and they had mobile phones. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. People started using emails and text messages and social media, and they were talking to their phone and their phone was talking back to them. And I was just like, my mind was blown a little bit and I was quite excited. But I wasn't thinking about solutions at that point. But then over a period of time, and this is years, it's not like it wasn't that eureka moment that Archimedes had. It was more, yeah, the penny was slowly dropping. But I thought, when my clients were walking into shops, I would see how people interacted with them. And I would go, why doesn't that person not know that they shouldn't talk to a guide dog? Why do they always come out and go, oh, I love dogs, or we can probably smell my dog, or does it want a biscuit? And you'd be like, just ignore the dog, please. The person needs to be focusing on their mobility and getting service or whatever it is. And I just thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if, based on my proximity, I could inform staff that I was just about to walk through the door or going to walk through the door at a certain time. And if by having a profile on my phone, pre-populated profile, what if that could then deliver training specific to my needs? And then I stopped thinking about visual impairment. I started thinking about all disabilities. And at that moment, I had stumbled across what has now become the world's first proximity-based staff training tool that empowers the disabled person to dictate the relationship they have with the customer service team. I'm not going to try and put that into an acronym because it's a hell of a long sentence, but what this system does is it allows the disabled person to say, within a certain amount of time, I'm going to be at your venue. I would like you to know a couple of things about me that are going to make my life a lot easier as I arrive, and your life a lot easier for your interactions with me when I do. And of course, with 1.3 billion disabled people worldwide, and 70% approximately living with a hidden condition, being able to inform somebody how best to interact with you can be incredibly useful. Other than getting up to a reception and saying, hello there, my name's Gavin, I have schizophrenia. Hello there, my name's Gavin, I have Tourette's. Hello, I am dyslexic. You don't want to do that when you walk into a shop or whatever. Anyway, that became WelcoMe. And the way to spell that is W-E-L-C-O capital M small e. Who knew there was a me in welcome?
Yeah. Very nice. I love that. And I love the concept. I really do. You and I talked before we scheduled this interview. And I just really love this concept of being able to communicate, because it makes the process less awkward for the company and their staff. It makes the process much less awkward for somebody that's visiting an establishment. I just see why you fell in love with it. I love the idea as well. I think that it is so useful. It's especially helpful when the disability is not apparent. Yeah. Okay, so if somebody's in a wheelchair, it becomes pretty obvious that they need some help. They may need help, but mobility is their challenge. But Tourette's, autism, somebody on the spectrum, there's so many other things, PTSD, where somebody's not going to really want to go around broadcasting they have it. But the fact that they have it means that they need someone to pay a little bit of attention to how they interact with them.
Yeah, you're spot on. And actually, it's worth saying there that just because somebody's in a wheelchair or using a wheelchair doesn't mean that they don't have PTSD. Oh. In fact, there's an increased chance that you have a hidden condition if you have a visible condition. And that could be any number of different conditions. That makes sense. A wheelchair user, chap who maybe lost his leg in some war zone and is now living with PTSD. It could quite easily be a circumstance. But when we see somebody who's disabled, we shouldn't think, they just need things to do with wheelchairs. Whereas it could be this person needs me to approach them in the right way. Really useful.
Yeah, exactly. I see a huge potential with it, but you know how that goes. Okay, so you want to tell us a little bit about how the system works? Because If I understand correctly, and I could be way out in left field, I am usually, my wife says I'm outstanding in my field. I think she means physically, but from both the user, the person with the challenge, what's their interface and what does it look like for them? And from the vendor side, the company that's working with you to make this process work. So tell me about both sides of that, what it looks like and how it works.
Yeah, so importantly, I think the base point is, well, who pays for this? Where does the system come from? Well, the first thing I ever wanted to do, because I was a mobility instructor, I wanted it free. So this is a free app. You download it on your phone, you fill out a profile, you look down a list of venues that are already using the platform, you decide to go to the venue, you put in the information the venue might need to know about your particular visit, and then they get the information. The venue, they sign up to the system. They just go online, they sign up, they fill out the information that they want people to know about their particular venue, and that's the system. Now, I could tell you this until I was blue in the face, and most people I speak to, they go, yeah, but I'm a very visual person. I need to be able to see how it works, because just saying all the stuff I've just said, you go, yeah, I kind of get it, but I guarantee you when people see it working, they go, oh yeah, that's cool. And that's when I get goosebumps, and I'm getting them right now thinking about how much I love this. And I love it not like a businessman who's come up with an idea, but somebody who lived with this for 18 years, watching people suffer on both sides of the coin here. Everybody suffers when somebody is discriminated against. So what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to share my screen, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my mobile phone. So you'll be able to see my mobile phone as if I'm a disabled person setting up a visit, and on the screen you're going to see, well, let's say it's a cruise ship. Okay. This is your first day arriving at the cruise ship. So we're going to say it's a cruise ship. So we'll just pretend. Okay. Right. So I'm going to share my screen, and you'll be able to probably see it now. I'm guessing you can.
I can see it.
Okay. So on the right-hand side is my mobile phone. And on the left-hand side is the main reception desk at your cruise liner. So before you get on board, this is the guys that you're going to meet before you actually go to the gangplank, if there is such a thing anymore. I've not been on a cruise ship for a long time. Who knows? They don't even have gangplanks. Right, so we're going across to my phone for a second, and this is my app down here, which is called WelcoMe, with the logo, which pops up for a second. And this is the main screen, okay? But this is after I've filled in a profile. So this is the screen that I get to when I open the app up after I filled in a profile. But what I'm going to do very quickly is just show you the profile screen, which is down the bottom here. If I click on the profile screen, this is the information that I put in right at the very start when I first used the app. So it says, hello, what's your name? And it's all very friendly, the way that we set this up for disabled people. Hello, what's your name? Tell me your email address. What would you like customer service teams to have an awareness of? So awareness required for. So if I click on awareness required for here, what it gives me is a list of different conditions that I might want somebody to know about. So we go down here: acquired brain injury, aphasia, ataxia, autism, dementia, epilepsy, fibromyalgia, Huntington's disease, learning disabilities. But you notice very importantly here, undisclosed condition. So some people are like, well, I don't want them to know that I have acquired brain injury, but I just want them to be a little bit more caring for my needs and maybe ask me how I can be helped. So you can put in undisclosed condition. But it's got loads of other things in here. It's also got things like a physical impairment. So you wouldn't have to say I have cerebral palsy. You just want them to know that maybe you've got physical impairment. So what I'm going to do on this occasion is I'm going to click aphasia and autism. And they are going to be the things that I want people to have awareness of. And then underneath that, I've got service requirements. These are the things that if they're available, I want them. Okay, and I've got a massive list of different service requirements in here, from wheelchair ramp to sighted guide, to dedicated seating, to weighted blankets, to Irish Sign Language, accessible rooms, step-free access, mobility scooter loans, accessible changing rooms, pool pods, things that we keep adding on a daily basis. Somebody says, oh yeah, when I go somewhere, I want this, and we just add it into the platform. It's very easy to add. So I've put in what I actually want, and that is my profile done. That's all I need for my profile, apart from the photograph, which it says, please add in a photograph. Okay, so now if we now go back to visits, we're now ready to go. So let's say I'm going to plan a visit. So I click on plan visit, and then gives me a list of different venues that are available on the platform. So if I just have a little wander down here for a second, eventually it starts with the one that's closest to you, but in the future we'll just have a map, or you'll be able to search by specific types. So let's say restaurant, you put in restaurants and it would give you all the restaurants in the local area that are using this system. So if we go to the welcome venue here, which we're going to pretend is our cruise liner. So this is the cruise liner, or the main reception of the cruise liner. So cruise liner, where is it? I'm guessing this one's inland for some reason, as you can see from the map. Not a good place for a cruise liner. But opening times, general information about the cruise liner or the reception at the cruise liner. How accessible is the building? How easy is it for me to get onto the ship, as an example? These are physical. In the world of disability, we often use the word access. Access, generally, when somebody hears it, they will think physical.
Yeah.
And I understand that. That's because we've all thought about physical access. We even have a symbol of a wheelchair user as our symbol. But if we go underneath that and say assistance provided, well, this is social access. Social access is equally as important as physical access, because if you get to the most accessible building in the entire world and the security guard says no dogs allowed if you're a guide dog owner, well, what's the point of it being accessible if the security guard doesn't know? But if you know that the security guard knows, then you're cool. Underneath that, we've got a couple of review sites that we link to. So if somebody wants to find out more information about this particular cruise liner, they can. And then there's the cruise liner website. And then we've got going at the bottom. So I'm going to click on going. When do we want to go? So let's go tomorrow between 12 and 5. Questions about your visit. These questions are specific to the venue. Each venue can ask different questions. An airport could say, have you put your toiletries into a plastic bag? Do you have your passport? Have you got your tickets with you? Are there any shops you would like to go to on your way to the gate? And you can imagine every single venue might be different. But on this one, we've got, are you exempt from wearing a mask? Yes. Do you have any food allergies? No. Do you have your booking number? So let's just say we've got a booking number. Okay. I then click next. And it says, what do you want to do on this visit? So we haven't booked a trip yet, but I'm wanting to see if it's possible to go along to actually have a look around a venue. So let's have that as our message. I've never been on a cruise before, but I'm very keen to speak to somebody that might be able to give me a guided tour before I book a visit. So that's my message. And then I click done. And it says, what supported requirements? Now, there's the 4 that I had clicked before, but this particular cruise liner is going to allow me dedicated seating and wheelchair access as well. So I can click those now because I go, oh yeah, actually that'd be quite useful. And then click next. This says, this will confirm your booking. Are you sure you wish to proceed? Now, before I click yes to say I'm going to proceed, I'm going to go across here to the management system. So this is the venue. Now I'm going to log into the venue where currently this visit hasn't popped up. My colleague Judith was doing this earlier today, so she's obviously set one up. But I'm now going to click yes on my mobile phone. I now get a message on my mobile phone that says your requirements have been sent. They look forward to seeing you later. But the cruise liner has had a phone call, a text message, and an email. So the person at reception in the cruise liner, in the receptionists, they look down and they go, oh, wait a second, somebody's just decided to come and visit us. So I click on view, and in here I've got Gavin, picture of when he had a beard. Gavin would like you to know about aphasia, Usher's syndrome, and autism. Underneath that I have Gavin's physical requirements, meet and greet, disabled parking, dedicated seating. Underneath that I've got a message from Gavin as to what he wants to do. I've never been on a cruise before, but I'm very keen to speak to somebody that might be able to give me a guided tour before I book a visit. I then have an overview of what aphasia is, an overview of what Usher's syndrome is, and an overview of what autism is. Now, for the staff member who's never had any staff training, or their training was 2 years before, this can be incredibly useful because it can either spark a memory, or indeed it can give them the information that avoids them from being discriminatory in their interaction. But then we have top tips. What should you do when you meet somebody with aphasia? Introduce yourself, acknowledge what they've requested, avoid background noise, really useful. Don't rush, allow the person time to speak. So top tips. Next to that, we have the charity that gave us the information. And these are links that they gave us that give a deeper dive for the staff member. So if there was a group of 5 people on the reception, they could say, right, first thing tomorrow morning, guys, we're all going to do a little bit deeper dive about aphasia. as an example. And then the last one is question responses. Are you exempt from wearing a mask? We know Gavin's exempt from wearing a mask before he walks through the door, so we know not to give him a hassle and frown at him when he's not wearing a mask. We know he doesn't have any food allergies, so we're going to offer him whatever we've got lying around, and we know he's got his booking number. So we know a little bit more about Gavin. If I come back up here to the top right-hand side, it says accept visit. When I click accept, because there's no problem at all with Gavin visiting, that sends a message directly back to Gavin. If I go into my emails, I've now got an email that says, hi Gavin, we're very happy to let you know that your visit planned to the cruise liner has been confirmed by the cruise liner, and we hope you have a fantastic visit, with lots more information. Right, now, this is tomorrow. Sorry, I'm speeding through this, but this is now tomorrow. And if I go into my visits, it's now an upcoming visit, as we can see here. So if I now click on the visit here, I've got all the information that I put in about the visit. Bottom right, I've got a manual arrival button. So when I arrive at the car park, when I hit that manual arrival button, this will trigger your visit. And that instantly sends a message to the venue where they get another phone call, email, and a text message to say, Gavin's here, he's arrived, he's in the car park. Come and get him, or whatever it is that Gavin might be able to get from you. Within 24 hours, Gavin is going to get an email that says, how good was your visit? How well did the guys at that particular venue interact with you? And then Gavin can fill that in, and that instantly pops up on the venue. And I think I did this for a cinema. At the door, Michael took me into the theatre. However, he then took me to the accessible toilet, which has never been done before. He also already prepared some popcorn and Diet Coke for me. And that was an example of how somebody can then give feedback. And that is pretty much how Welcome works. The only thing I would add to that, and this is the secret to Welcome, bottom right down here is a button that says help. When you click on that, at the top here, it says request a new venue. So let's just say we have 10,000 hearing impaired people who share news about Welcome in Texas. And those 10,000 people then contact a particular venue and say, you need to have this new system. That comes straight through to my sales team. My sales team contact the venue and say, hey, we've got 10,000 hearing impaired people that are really keen for you to improve your customer service with this platform. We'll send you some information about how the platform is going to improve your life. It takes about 2 hours to set up a venue. Venue goes live on the platform, and then we're good to go. And that is pretty much Welcome and how it works.
Okay, so I will say this. I love everything about this. This is absolutely incredible. Your links will be down in the discussion. So for individuals that travel with challenges, no matter what it is, and you're listening to this, there will be a link in the discussion below where you can reach out and contact Gavin. So right now, let me ask this question though, before I go any farther. Just in the UK?
Currently, we're in the UK and Ireland. And that's mainly because we're utilizing an app currently, but we're going to be launching a web app soon. The reason there's a challenge there is because of time zones. When you're using one time zone, it's absolutely fine, but you add in more time zones and it becomes more challenging. That said, we want to go where people say they want us. So let's just say Texas. Let's just say we had 500 people in Texas saying, yeah, we want this system. We know there then that when we launch in the United States, and obviously we want to, we know which places to go to first, because it's good for businesses to have this, but you also need disabled people to say, I want it, and then to use it. So yeah, all the links will be there. I want to hear from people. I want to connect with them, and I want to hear from them where they want it and how they want it. And then everything will else fall into place, hopefully without too much time having gone in between.
Okay, so you heard from Gavin himself. There'll be links in the description where you can reach out and connect with him. I would say this, if you watched the show or video today, if you've enjoyed what you saw, do me a favor, hit like. And if your subscribe button is red, that is a warning from YouTube telling you you're not subscribed. So if you'll touch that button, click on it, it'll make that red go away and you'll be subscribed to the channel and get a lot of future content. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see everybody next time.